We train to have mastery of our own mind. What's up, guys? Today I want to share a few drills, tips, and sequences to explore handstand, or how to approximate handstand over time. Now, handstand in Sanskrit is called Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, which means downward facing tree. A tree has roots that drive deep into the earth, and it has a relationship to the earth so that when it sways in the wind, it comes back to center. And that's an interesting concept because in the handstand, while we're balancing is the concept of rebalancing. The nervous system is losing balance and recalibrating and getting balance again very quickly. So this concept of balancing and rebalancing is always there in something that looks really stable. And in life, we're always rebalancing in approximation to the changes and fluctuations outside of us. When we're positioned internally, spiritually, that's what we're doing. We're really looking out. So in a handstand, our hands become our feet. As I'm standing here, I'm not working hard to balance because neurologically I'm used to it. But when I flip the world upside down, I need to feel this energy. I need to feel the appendicular skeleton, the arms and the legs connected to the midline, to the root here, and to the space next to and under the navel. So this area, we develop tremendous sensitivity because this central channel, the midline, is the connection point. If we can draw our energy into the center, the neurons in our head communicate with the most distal aspects of our body, the index knuckle and the big toes, to find recruitment points for the nerves to draw everything in the middle. So this is what I mean. As I go up here, I'm rooting my index knuckle into the earth and rotating the upper arm to the side so that my chest is open for the balance. When I go to the top, I join these bones in my feet to recruit the legs into the root. So this is where the motor cortex in the head starts to connect and sensitize the body to the most distal parts. The most far-reaching parts are being recruited to the midline. So here we go. You can see here that my index knuckle is rooted and it's involved in the balance and rebalancing process. And it's definitely connecting my arms to the midline. Absolutely crucial for the rebalancing process. So these points were joined and it recruited the legs to the midline, and the index knuckle rooted, connected my arms to the space next to my navel. So let's do a few drills that will sensitize the recruitment of the arms and legs to the midline as we approximate handstand. The drills I'm going to share with you today are about sensitizing the appendicular skeleton, the arms and the legs, right into the midline. So we want to draw the arms right next to the navel and below the navel, and we want to draw the legs through this point. When we press that bone under the big toe joint away, we want to sensitize the inner legs so that we feel that in the root. So this idea of drawing the legs and arms into the middle becomes crucial for the concept of rebalancing. If you look very closely at a handstand, you can see it's like, in a very subtle way, even the best handstands are rebalancing. There's a moment where the nerves can kind of lose it and rebalance. So when we connect the legs and arms to the middle, we're communicating with the central channel. And neurologically, this is the vagal nerve, which tones the entire respiratory cardiovascular, neurological system. We're connecting everything up the super highway that we call in yoga Sushumna Nadi. There are two ways that people usually come into handstand. The two popular ways are to donkey kick up with both legs at the same time, or to seesaw, scissor the legs and lean up with one leg acting as a lever and one leg acting as a spring. So I'm going to show you drills that allow you to experiment with both, because your nervous system will click with one before the other, but it's good to train the body so that you can come into handstand in both ways, whichever works for your nervous system more efficiently. So we're going to work here very simply with a block in the center. I just want you to kick back a little bit, soften the elbows with the arms to the side, point the right foot, and just lift it over the block. You can practice this 10 times. Now here's what's going on. As you move your foot over the block on the third setting, I'm going to exaggerate here. When you point the foot, you tone the legs, and there's a recruitment process of connecting to the root lock, to the center. So you do this drill a few times on each leg. So I would say 10 repetitions. Then another drill is to put the blocks right in front of your hip crease, push into one heel, point the other foot, and lift up and count 5 breaths. You can see again that you're toning the inner aspect of the leg, and you're recruiting a connection. You're making a connection to the pubococcygeal muscles. These are beyond and below the rectus abdominis. They're deep inside of the body, and they're small muscles that allow us to balance and rebalance. So you would lift up on each side 5 breaths, and eventually in a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, you might feel strong enough to lift up for 5 breaths with the big toe joints pushing against each other. When we do a handstand and we point the feet, the bones stack in position, similar to like when we're standing on our feet. We're not really all over the place. We're in a plumb line with the shoulders, the hips, the knees, and the ankles in one line, so that there's a special relationship with gravity that allows us to stay centered. I practice inversions at the end of my asana practice in the morning for about 15 or 20 minutes. And some of these drills have helped me get to a point where I can experiment with advanced variations. So be patient and weave it in as consistently as possible, but take one day of rest for the shoulders and the chest to totally heal. So we'll do a drill that helps you to hop up with both legs in a frog jump. This is hopping across the mat very lightly, using the index knuckle to open the chest and shoulders, and by gazing in front of the fingers as we hop, we're in a short dog on one side, and you bend the hips and knees, and you're springing across the mat. I always recommend 16 to 20 reps, and as you spring, you get lighter and higher. Lighter, higher. Eventually, that lightness allows you to recruit the legs to the midline. So by hopping, we're training the liquid in the ear, the vestibular system, to calibrate and find balance as we move through space. It's a constant training of the vestibular system and the nervous system. In a moment, I will share with you how to sequence these exercises in your daily practice and your weekly routine so that you're training the nervous system, but yet resting and recovering in time to execute these drills proficiently. Let's explore side plank. Now, in a handstand, the connection to the earth is crucial. This bone is magical under the index knuckle. This bone, we're going to train now to run energy from the earth to the space next to the navel in a side plank. So we come to plank with the feet together and you just roll to one side. This is an approximation with the left foot down and looking up. You press here, but soften the elbow, and you look at the left arm. You look up at the arm that's in the sky, at the thumb, to focus your gaze at one point. This focusing the gaze becomes very important. I have a little speck here of white lint that I'm looking at to focus my sight so that the eyes are not all over the place and distracted. So focusing the gaze is crucial to maintaining neurological balance. You can see when I come into side plank that I'm pressing to lift. This part of the body, I'm acutely aware of the muscles beyond the external obliques that create a lift. And it's getting us very subtle by bringing the arms to the space next to the navel. So side plank, Vasishta Asana, is also an excellent handstand drill. To review, we have this motion, sequencing one leg at a time over the block. We have the Brahmacharyasana motion, where we lift one leg up, we can lift two legs up. We have side plank. We have the donkey jumps, which we've done. And now we'll work on a sequence that takes this idea. We're going to work on a warrior 3 drill that strengthens the ankle and prepares us for hopping with a single leg. Let's take a look at this posture standing. The funny thing about handstand training is we're trying to connect to what we can't see, okay? Our eyes are looking down at the earth for stability, but we're asking the motor cortex to connect to half of the body that it can't see. The body is in the air. So we're going to train that in a position that's not as scary. So you do repetitions where you squeeze the knee, point the foot, and you go to warrior 3. You can't see that leg, but if the foot is not toned, the body collapses and it starts to go towards where gravity calls it. And the yogi is very much interested in levitation. So this warrior 3 repetition, you would go inhale and point the right foot. Exhale. Inhale. Connect to what you can't see. You can't see that foot. You can't see your groin, but you're trying to feel it. Exhale. And then you repeat like that 5 times each leg, so you sensitize the leg that you'll be using in handstand. It looks like this. So let's say you did this warrior 3. That is pretty much preparation for handstand, because this leg is the lever. This one will be the spring. It's the same warrior 3 leg. And I'm joining the big toes. And I could stay here all day, because it's like standing on the feet. So you can see what we're actually involved in is the process of sensitizing the body to train in what is unfamiliar. We're getting familiar with the darkness. We're illuminating an area of possibility and approximating the handstand by making our nervous system adapt to these exercises in stages. Neurologically, we're looking to sense the weight of the hips over the shoulders. That's what these drills are helping us to do by recruiting the legs and arms to the middle. As we try to do the handstand, we should come to it in a simple stage of sensing the hips, because it's very scary. There's only a few bones on the earth, and the fear of falling resembles the fear of death. When we transform this fear of falling, the fear of death, some of that is expunged from the body. So inversions are fantastic for eliminating fear or minimizing fear in the body. Now I'll show you. In the short dog, you look forward, and I'm not going to come all the way up, but by flexing and extending the elbow, just like in side plank, I'm starting to feel the connection to my lower abdomen. That is where the recruitment and the stabilization is occurring for the entire body. So with a straight leg, look, I'm just taking the hips slightly over the shoulders. There's a little. 1, 2, hips over shoulders. Eventually, you scissor the legs together. But the idea is to get the brain to feel, the nervous system to feel, where are the hips? The hips are the point that will allow the legs to stack over the hips. So when we're doing that with both legs, feet are together. When you hop with both legs in the short dog, your brain is looking for contact like we do in Navasana. It's looking for contact between these two bones. So we look as the legs go into the sky, we find the feet and bring the hips over the shoulders. So it's like baby, hop, 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 up. So it starts with a playful hips over shoulder action that we get used to, and then we develop some confidence to take it all the way up. So let's talk about sequencing. You'd want to have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You want to do this training if you're trying to train your nervous system to adapt to movements and to develop proficiency in something that's new. You want to at least do it 3 times a week so you don't veer too far off from center. This is similar to, I remember a friend of mine was taking flight lessons and learning how to fly the plane, and the instructors don't let you what's called solo the plane, go up alone. You have to always go up with an instructor until you've logged a requisite amount of hours with the teacher and they think, okay, you're handling all the protocols and sequences properly to now take the risk of flying the plane alone. So before your nervous system really just jumps up in an automatic pattern because it knows it, the electricity has been flowing repeatedly through these channels and the pathway is established and it becomes a mastery. Before that happens, one needs consistency. So I would recommend doing these drills in order at least 3 times a week, maybe 5 times a week, and then allowing 1 or 2 days to rest and recover so that you adapt to the load and can thereby do more volume and more training. They say repetition is the mother of skill, and that can never be more true than when you're handstand training. As far as sequencing the routine, the exercises I gave you, I believe you should do everything at least 2 to 3 times. And you don't go with the hardest variation at first. You may simply be here on the earth, your first when you make the devotional act of committing to the posture, you have to say, I want to do this. You have to visualize yourself having like it's done already in your mind. And then you filter yourself through the practice so that you can eventually master the experience. So you may start with just this one, and then you may lift here, and then eventually you'll lift up with both legs, but you don't try to do the hardest thing right away, and you flow through the entire sequence 3 times a week or 5 times a week. And you can, when you feel comfortable, start taking the hips over the shoulders. And then the next step would be to try the exercise 1 foot away from the wall, knowing that the wall is there to catch you. And when you're comfortable taking a risk, you come back to the center of your mat and glue all the parts of the puzzle together in Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, downward facing tree. So we've talked about training the nervous system to sense the energy of the hips over the shoulders, but perhaps you're a little afraid to try a handstand in the center of the room. It's good to stay about 12 to 16 inches away from the wall and to go up knowing that the wall is there to stabilize you, and it gives you a chance to actually flirt with the handstand by bringing one leg away and joining the next leg as you extend the gap at which you're able to balance, and your nervous system gets used to the whole concept of connecting to what you can't see, which is a metaphor for the entire yoga practice, which is connecting to the spirit, which we see mostly with the eyes closed. Those are some basic tips for your handstand practice. I want to invite you to share this video with others who are practicing yoga or interested in health and neurological conditioning. I want you to subscribe to the channel because there's more good stuff coming your way. And you're invited to take daily practice with me Monday through Friday. Just go to my website, jaisugram.com, under daily practice and check out the offerings only for you.